Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Haritha and my kunya is Salim. Welcome to my channel. So, polygyny is generally hard. That it becomes easy is now a factor of other things. Maybe the kind of people, involved in that polygyny, their mindsets, the resources, and, all of that. But based on the major complaints about polygyny, let me say major issues associated with polygyny that makes it more difficult than it should be, I came up with these um, factors that would have made polygyny easier. Number one, if the man is wealthy. Polygyny is hard, but it's a bit easier if the man is wealthy. Not to, the kind of polygyny where women have to strive and struggle and compete over resources, limited resources. I mean, that makes it even harder. It's already hard, but it makes it harder. And we see this happen. We see this around a lot of times. We also see that women who are married into wealthy polygynous homes, of course, there will always be jealousy about, compared to the ones who have to manage limited resources. It's easier when there's enough wealth to go around. The second factor that also makes polygyny easier is the level of attachment to the man. Women who are not so attached to their men tend to handle polygyny better than women who are very attached to their men. So it hurts everyone, but when you don't build your entire life around your man is your everything, he's your all and all. You don't have a life outside him. You have no career, you have no hobby, you have no business, it's just you live for him literally. When he goes polygynous, your world would come crumbling. So it would hurt 10 times more than a woman who has a life for herself. And a woman who, yeah, she loves her man, but she's not attached to her man. She has a life independent of her man. So attachment, the level of attachment to your man also can make polygyny easier or difficult. Polygyny is also easier if none of the wives have had to sacrifice or has had to endure a humble beginning. Yes, it's difficult. Polygyny is hard for women. However, it is harder for a first wife that has had to endure, a humble time, a time of struggles, a time of hustle with her man. It's harder for women like that compared to women who had always had access to resources and then more women are coming to join. There's always that feeling of, oh, so I was just a ladder. Transitioning for her is harder than transition for someone who has always been enjoying before more came to join. The other reason that makes polygyny easier to bear is when none of the parties, especially the first wife, does not have a fairy tale expectation. When you do not really have much expectation of your man that, oh, you over project his love and think that, oh, he loves you too much, he cannot, he won't hurt you by marrying another woman, he loves you too much to marry someone else. When your expectations regarding that is reduced, you tend to polygyny tends to be easier for you to bear as well, because a lot of times what kills us is not even what has happened, but the fact that we didn't entertain the possibility or likelihood of it happening. We had our expectation high up there. We so much believe that, oh my god, this is how it's going to be. So for something you cannot control and an adult whom you do not control, I would say that we should manage our expectations. We should limit it, to be honest. It doesn't take away all of the pain, but it makes it easier to handle because your expectations had always been well managed. So cut down on the fairy tale expectation, especially when the going is still smooth. And especially when your man does not have money yet, cut down. Because a man is tested when he has everything. You can't say you know your man so well until he's counting certain amounts of money. So reduce your fairy tale expectation. That would also help you cope better in polygyny. Then another thing that makes polygyny easier than regular is the man's love for peace in his home. A man who wants a peaceful home, but at the same time wants to go polygynous, would definitely not handle the process recklessly. He may not get to the point where he's able to 100% convince the first wife to be accepting because he doesn't owe her that, but because he's a man who loves peace and he's a man who wants a one happy family with different women. He would be very patient enough, he would fear God enough, and he would be kind enough to handle it well, you know. Because, like I do say, polygyny is hard, but how the man goes about it also add or reduce the intensity of how hard it would be. So another factor that makes polygyny easier is if you are the subsequent wife. It makes it easier. This doesn't mean you don't have your struggles too, but it makes it easier because there is still the aspect of knowing you are going into polygyny. There is still that aspect of choosing polygyny, even though you don't really know, the full details about what you're going to find there. But there is that, yes, I am marrying a married man. I won't be the only woman in his life. I am starting my marriage with this man from sharing him. There is no time the man was ever only yours. So it makes it easier than having to transition from having him to yourself and then now having to share just like that. So it's not easy for anyone, but it's easier if you're a subsequent wife compared to if you chose monogamy and then end up in polygyny. So yeah, that's also something. The last but not the least factor I have on my list is if you prefer halal option over haram, you also tend to, find a way to cope better with polygyny. If you are a woman who would rather deal with the pain that comes with polygyny rather than endanger your man, well, not you endangering him, but you would prefer, if you're a woman who would prefer to manage polygyny rather than enjoy monogamy, but your man indulges in zina, somehow polygyny will be easier for you. Allah will make it easy for you because you chose halal over haram. You love your man too much that you do not want him indulging in major sin. It's hard for you. It's not exactly easy for you, but you would rather halal than haram. You would rather deal with the ups and downs of polygyny than the destruction that comes with, cheating, that comes with zina. Especially if you know that the kind of man you have, you are even very sure he loves you so much, but you are also very sure that he is not a one woman's man. And you would rather the halal for him than the haram. Somehow that would also make polygyny easier for you. What are your thoughts? Do share in the comment section. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.